Welcome to Is It Covered, where we break down real stories and answer the big question, is it covered? Hosted by father and son duo Bruce and Brian Chapman of the J.D. Chapman Insurance Agency. This podcast will help you navigate the world of insurance with stories, tips, and answers that really matter. From personal to commercial coverage, we've got you covered. Now, let's get started.
Okay, welcome to another exciting version of Is It Covered? Who says insurance is boring, right, Brian?
I love it.
That's right. Yeah, this is a podcast from J.D. Chapman Agency with your hosts, Brian and Bruce Chapman, where we break down sometimes real stories about big questions on insurance claims. Are they covered? We pose a question, we pose a claim, and we kind of try to determine if it's covered. Typically, it depends.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. So keep in mind, though, that every claim is different, every scenario is different, and if you have a claim, it's important to call your agent to talk about that claim to determine is there coverage before maybe you turn it in or not. But these are just ideas and things that may or may not be covered.
Absolutely.
So let's see. This one is having to do with Uber and Lyft.
Oh, yeah. Popular.
Exactly. So you are either an Uber or Lyft driver and you're involved in an accident. And there's some little things on those policies where you may or may not be covered when you're driving for Uber or Lyft. And what about the people in the car? How are they covered? So, Brian, tell us a little story about an Uber or Lyft scenario.
Oh, yeah. Picture this. And I'm actually going to tell you one that happened to me.
Okay, yeah.
When I was in Fort Collins, we were out in the town having a good time. And so we called an Uber to bring us back to our apartment. And while we were in the Uber, the lady was taking a left, and the person coming straight ended up, hitting them, kind of T-boning them. Not too hard. There wasn't a whole lot of injury or anything that happened.
So the Uber driver was taking a left.
The Uber driver was taking a left. Yep. They picked us up. They were on their app. We were all in the car. Everyone had seatbelts on. And then, the Uber driver went to go take a left. The person blew a light and kind of hit us on the back corner. And I know right now is a popular time. A lot of people are taking Ubers and Lyfts. People might be thinking about, hey, I need to make a little extra money for the holidays. I'd like to, hop on Uber or Lyft and drive. We get those calls all the time from our insureds. Hey, I'm going to do this. Does my insurance policy cover it?
Right.
So again, imagine that you've now signed up for Uber and Lyft. You're having a great time. You're making a bunch of money doing it. But now all of a sudden you get in an accident. What's next? What happens? Who's covered?
Right.
And how does that all shake out?
For sure. And keep in mind, too, Uber and Lyft are awesome, especially if you've been drinking.
Absolutely.
The last thing you want is a DWI or even worse, an accident where alcohol's involved on your insurance. Not to mention the fact that people could be injured or killed. That's something you want to really protect is your driving record. So Uber and Lyft are awesome services as well as a taxi.
They can be fun too. I've been in Uber and Lyfts where they've got TVs in the back and little disco balls and they play music and the people are super nice. So yeah, it's a great way to get around, like you said.
Right, for sure. So let's see here. So on my personal auto policy, is my insurance company going to cover me if I'm driving for Uber or Lyft?
That is a question we get a lot. And so to kind of break that down for you, first of all, when you're going to get insurance, you're going to want to make sure that the carrier knows that you are using the vehicle for Uber and Lyft, because there are some companies that that we represent that don't have a problem with that, and then there's others that will shy away from it and say no, there's no coverage for that type of thing.
And the last thing you want is to have a claim and see that it's not covered. So that's why it's important to be honest with the agent or the person that you're talking to.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't hide that from them. So you. There's two different things. So when you get into your vehicle and you log on to the app, so you log on to Uber, you log on to Lyft.
Yep.
At that moment, Uber and Lyft have a master insurance policy that will cover you.
Once you're logged in.
As soon as you're logged into that application, they see that you're live, you're trolling for a ride, their master policy takes over.
Okay.
And they'll provide you a copy with all that, of all that and what it would cover.
Which would be really important when you're speaking of that, is if you do decide to sign up with Uber, Lyft, delivery, Grubhub, any of those things, you want to get a document from them that indicates how their insurance would respond to you. I think that's very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're going to want to know what that looks like because, again, as I said, as soon as you log into that app, your personal insurance kind of is on pause and the master policy from Uber and Lyft takes place. Now you pick up a ride, you're still covered, all that entire period you're using that application to the point where you log off, you're covered under Uber and Lyft's master policy. Now, let's say you've called it a night, you've logged off of the application, and on your way home, you get into some form of an accident. Well, your personal policy is going to respond at that point.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
One thing to note, too, when you had mentioned Grubhub and, they have Uber Eats now.
Yeah.
I think 99% of insurance companies, if not all of them, will not cover you at all for those exposures.
It's
Uber
a delivery service.
It's a delivery service, like pizza delivery and stuff like that.
Right.
So ride sharing, where you're just picking up people, point A, point B, good. If you're delivering food, probably not a good idea, or at least it needs to be discussed.
Isn't it odd that they'll cover you if you have a human being that can be injured or killed, yet if you have a pizza, they won't cover you?
Yeah, well, hungry people are pretty scary too, so.
Yeah. Well, plus too, I think a lot of it is, remember when Domino's had that delivery guarantee?
Oh, yeah.
And things went crazy because the drivers were going crazy delivering pizzas as fast as possible. Yeah.
So I guess it kind of getting back to some of the portion of the claim, and if I do get into an accident, let's say I'm the Uber driver and my passengers and stuff get hurt, what it seems like is that master policy, there's something, hopefully they have what's called personal injury protection, or PIP, that would cover, the passengers in the vehicle. Is that correct?
I'm going to be honest. I don't really know. I have not read how they're covered, but it would appear to me that probably that should be the case. But on a general, like every day to day, you're not delivering or you're not doing Uber or Lyft. I'm riding in your car, and I'm injured in your car. That's where no fault comes into play. Everyone hears the term no fault, and all it really means is that your insurance company pays for your medical expense for every person in the vehicle, and my insurance company pays for my medical expense, having nothing to do with the damage of the vehicle.
Gotcha. That's what I was going for.
It's a term that is thrown around but not fully understood. I'm not 100% sure exactly how that Uber and Lyft policy would respond to that.
It's
my assumption, as my mother said, assuming makes an ass of you and me, that there would be coverage for that.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, definitely get a copy of that from them for sure.
Yep. And again, that's why you want to talk to your agent or the company that you're dealing with. How do you cover this? What happens if this is the case?
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
So, I don't know. What do you think? Is it covered?
Well,
you get to run the gavel today.
Yeah, I know. I've got my imaginary gavel here.
Okay.
I would say that if you get into an accident, if you have an insurance policy where the insurance company knows that you're driving for Uber and Lyft, you get into an accident while you're logged into the application, yes, it's covered through Uber or Lyft's master policy. If you are just delivering food, doing Grubhub, something to that, Uber Eats, there's probably no coverage for that.
Got it. Yep. That makes sense to me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, hopefully this was a little bit educational for people thinking about driving Uber and Lyft.
Yeah.
And, we'll see you guys next week. But as always, we encourage everyone to send in any claims to massedin@jdchapmaninc.com. We would love to hear weird, exciting, offbeat type claims. We'd love to have you guys pick our brains on some things,
which we could research also.
Absolutely.
Another thing too for everyone, I know this is the holiday season, so be careful, take it easy, get an Uber or Lyft if you need one.
Amen. Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Is It Covered podcast. To learn more about how JD Chapman can assist you with all your insurance needs, please visit our website at jdchapmaninc.com or call us at 315-986-4062. JD Chapman, we've got you covered. This podcast provides general information only and does not offer or bind insurance coverage. Coverage cannot be changed or confirmed through this podcast, email, voicemail, or fax. Insurance only takes effect once confirmed by a licensed agent. For specific coverage details, please call us at 315-986-4062. All coverages are subject to the terms, conditions, and exclusions of the issued policy, which may vary by state. This podcast does not provide legal, tax, or financial advice. Please consult a professional for those needs. Links to other sites are provided for convenience. We don't control or endorse their content. Any claims, scenarios discussed are hypothetical. Coverage decisions depend on the specifics of each case.